Welcome to our discussion on taking a risk-based approach to cybersecurity in connected plants. My name is Pranav Patel, and I have the privilege of leading a very driven team in ResiliAnt. Getting to our topic, we know both FBI and the Department of Homeland Security continue to warn critical infrastructure operators about potential cyber threats. But is it just a perceived threat? Probably not. We heard about a periodic blind spots faced by the grid operators in the Western US for about 10 hours due to a cyber attack last year. This year, we heard about the incident involving a gas compression station. It all started from receiving a malicious link in an email containing malware that infected the IT network and then propagated to the OT network, finally preventing the systems from running properly. Crazy, isn't it? How is that possible? Is there a gap between the perception of security and reality, especially on the OT side? Let's evaluate that further. Let's look at a few myths. First myth, our IT and OT networks are separate, so our OT network shouldn't have much risk. Well, that might be true a decade or more ago. Today, organizations want to remotely monitor their operations to realize productivity gains. Many manufacturers remotely monitor their equipment for quicker diagnosis and better maintenance responses. In other words, Internet of Things bridging IT and OT exposes the OT network to the external world. Second myth, most of the attacks are state-sponsored, and they mostly impact the IT networks. But we just saw an example of how a gas compression station operated on the OT network was breached. Further, looking at a sample of cyber incidents in the water infrastructure, we see that many attacks originate internally and affect the operational technology. Obviously, not all internal actors have malicious intent. There could be some innocent mistakes as well. That takes us to our third myth. We have adequate systems, processes, and policies in place. We're good. It is true that many progressive organizations have those items in place, but we operate in a dynamic environment, which can lead to errors and misconfigurations. Many times, such misconfigurations are exploited in cyber attacks. The top ones are weak or default passwords that are widely known or shared openly, delayed or missing updates or patches, faulty firewall configurations. Oh, by the way, the incident faced by the utilities in 2019, attackers exploited vulnerabilities in the firewall. The reasons for such misconfigurations can include personal factors such as having people with a lack of detailed experience and knowledge, them having a lot to deal with and having multiple priorities, them not caring enough about their jobs, or just mishaps. Some environmental factors can also be at play, such as one person having many responsibilities, high workload, time pressure, or insufficient quality assurance processes, or poor planning or documentation. System factors such as complexity, legacy support, poor vendor documentation, etc. can also have an impact. So many organizational items should be considered before getting to tools and technologies. There are key challenges in this area that numerous surveys have uncovered. For example, IT teams know less about OT, and OT teams somewhat struggle with cybersecurity. More often than not, top operating leaders also don't engage much in cybersecurity matters. They tend to delegate that to the IT or IS teams. And just like any of us, IT teams also have their occupational biases when they develop or deploy solutions. Because the IT teams are often given the responsibilities of ensuring cybersecurity, it isn't surprising to see them extending IT practices onto the OT side. And of course, there is some value in doing that also. In theory, one can get economy of scale by using the same SOC, standardizing some of the endpoint security tools, using advanced technologies such as advanced threat detection, network, behavioral analytics, etc., or attempting to go for microsegmentations by quarantining its systems. The approach also requires minimal engagement from other functions, so the difficult change management efforts are minimal in this case. There are many challenges in this approach though. First, The approach is heavily geared towards managing external attacks, but in reality, there are many internal actors that contribute to cyber events. In 60% of the cases, there were insiders at play. Second, while quarantining each system sounds appealing on an IT side, the approach can bring serious performance limitation onto the OT side. For example, latency, bandwidth constraints, management burden, etc. Third, intrusion detection can create many alerts every day. Research suggests that 80% of them tend to be false alarms. However, triaging these alerts to find real issues require considerable knowledge of IT systems. It may even require dispatching engineers or bringing systems down for assessment. This can become very expensive very fast. So the result is poor ROI. As you go down onto the layers, while protection can gradually increase, the total cost of ownership increases exponentially. Also, many attack vectors, except for the broad network-based attack, still remain somewhat open. So what should organizations do? We've learned a few things from various cyber incidents. One, it is just not about the technology. Two, a lot of human factors contribute to cybersecurity risk. And when it comes to OT, the human elements span across many functions. For example, those who procure OT systems are in better position to ensure right terms and conditions related to cybersecurity are incorporated. That probably happens in the sourcing team. Those who install or network the systems can ensure configurations are done well. That probably happens in IT and automation teams. Those who operate those systems, for example, can ensure password management. That likely happens in operation team. Those who maintain the systems can ensure updates and patches are done in a timely manner. That could be the maintenance team. Hence, a good solution involves a good program with cross-functional participation and governance from the top leadership. It would include people, processes, policies, considerations, in addition to technology. That's how one can institutionalize new behaviors and practices. That means periodic risk gap assessments, cross-functional engagement, and a very high quality mitigation execution. Yes, it feels like hard work, but the consequences are much worse. And once this becomes a part of your operating mechanism, it may not even feel like hard work. It'll be just like how safety practices are taken care every day. The result is better risk management at lower cost. It would consider risk from a variety of attack vectors in the mitigation efforts. This would also utilize some of the classic IT practices such as perimeter control, segmentations, etc. And it could also use other advanced tools, but used only on case-by-case basis after assessing returns. Overall, the approach should yield a better ROI and help build the culture of security. Both IT and OT or IoT serve different purposes and call for different but synergistic approaches. For IT cybersecurity, centralization, detection, and standardization-based approach with use of advanced technologies work very well. But if that's applied to OT, the result may not be ideal. On the other hand, a security-based, prevention-led, holistic approach is more optimal for OT. The parameters to evaluate the strategy can include effectiveness in risk management, cost efficiency, adaptability with changing environment, and sustainability. So in summary, it is good to perform detailed risk assessment. After all, what gets measured gets managed. It helps you bridge the gap between perception and reality. Extending IT cybersecurity practices to OT may not always be the right answer. Building a culture of security, however, goes a long way. Risk-based, operationally focused, programmatic approach is the most optimal answer. It is effective, efficient, adaptable, and sustainable. Hope you found our discussion valuable. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out or we can chat. Thanks.